the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington. I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington, where the average age is probably 60 or 70. And I look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to like, well, hey, we're gonna have kind of a sexual get together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy.
Yeah. I'm sure many of you remember former Republican Congressman Madison Cawthorn, a young gentleman who might have been telling the truth about what was going down with members of Congress when he himself was a member of Congress. And now Politico magazine has put out a piece where they spoke to 25 members of Congress and got the inside scoop on what goes on behind closed doors. It's titled Sex, Drinking, and Dementia. 25 lawmakers spill on what Congress is really like. We live in hell. All right, I just want to say that off the bat. We live in hell. The authors of the piece spoke to both Democrats and Republicans. Those who shared the juiciest details were given, anonymity in order to speak freely about what they've experienced. So we're going to get to those juicier statements in just a bit. But the authors did ask the lawmakers a multitude of questions ranging from everyday life to politics to the institution as a whole. And they were asked point blank, is life on the Hill actually like the House of Cards, that Netflix series, which of course came to an end during the Me Too era? Now, Democratic Senator John Ossoff says no in regard to the Senate, but then he shades the House a little bit. He's like, it's kind of amazing. The House is a wilder place by reputation. There's also a lot more people in the House of Representatives. There's only 100 senators, so more opportunities for degenerate activity, if you will.
And considerably less prestige. Let's face it. If you are some House member of some district in some really small state or whatever, yeah, it's important. You're in the House of Representatives, that's a big deal. But it's just not the same, as being a senator. And the Senate has this, tradition of being this genteel sort of fraternal order where these guys really take it serious. So they're less likely to be as cavalier about their actions than the rabble rousers in the House. But the framers kind of designed our government to be this way. This idea that, we'd have the senators, but the people in the House of Representatives were gonna be sort of lower to the ground, basically more closely related to the common folk. And so, we shouldn't besmirch these folks that like to have a drink or two here and there.
Oh, I don't care about that at all. Having a drink here or there is no problem. It's just how much of what Madison Cawthorn claimed is actually taking place. Now, Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis from New York says, nah, it's not really like the House of Cards. It's something else. I would say DC is more like Veep than House of Cards. We've had a couple of Veep moments in my office. Okay, so I didn't ever watch Veep, but for those who do watch it,
you should watch it.
Everyone says that, so maybe I will. But so House of Cards, far more nefarious, a lot of shady dealings and stuff. Veep is more like, this place is a joke. That's the sense I get. Now, GOP Congressman Eli Crane says, oh no, it's like House of Cards for sure. Absolutely, we're human beings, right? Wait, no, pause. House of Cards isn't just about human beings who make mistakes.
He's clearly never seen the show.
Yeah, because literally a politician murders a journalist by pushing
he pushes her in front of a train. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But let me finish with this statement. He says, we're all sinners. So to even put on the facade that we're not regular people that are tempted to do things is laughable. It's ridiculous. So don't act like your S don't stink. Okay. I don't know anything about his family life, but if he's married, his wife needs to break into his phone and his email. Okay. So I'm kidding. So there were mentions of lawmakers being unfaithful to their spouses, but no names were given. That's the least surprising thing ever. But anything insane going on with drinking, with substance abuse, well, very few lawmakers suggested that they ever saw someone drunk or high on the job. but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So let's go to Representative Jim Himes, who's a Democrat from Connecticut. Every time we do an 11 p.m. vote, a minority of the chamber has a 0 blood alcohol content. Now, that's different than voting drunk. I don't think I've ever seen somebody demonstrably drunk on the floor. Okay. Now, then you have a House Republican who spoke on the condition of anonymity, so you know it's going to get juicier. This is a cross-section of society. I suspect, I don't know, I serve with functioning alcoholics just as I serve with people who take too many prescription drugs. As long as they're functional, which means able to do their job in a way that satisfies their folks back home, it's not really my position to grumble, bitch, or moan. You are shaking your head, Waz, in agreement. Why?
Yeah. I mean, if you're executing for your constituents up there, then none of this other stuff really matters. And I would bet you that the people that voted for them specifically would 100% agree that if their representative, their senator is up in Washington doing exactly as they expect them to, then none of this really means anything.
Look, you're right. None of this really means anything unless we get the Epstein files released. I gotta give Laura Loomer credit, which I never thought I'd be saying, but I do give her credit because she's been the most vociferous in demanding the release of the Epstein files, even though Epstein was Mossad or working on behalf of Mossad. That's just a theory that has some evidence to back it up, but nonetheless, there might be some folks that she doesn't want outed if those Epstein files get released. But I suspect that there's some damning stuff in there.
I think that's a little bit different, right? I think if these people are having sex with the lobbyists and consultants who take them out for drinks and happy hours and all of that stuff, like I don't think anybody's going to care. Now, if you're going to a remote, island to deal with underage people, that's a way different thing than what we're talking about in Washington, which I just assume is like every other industry and workplace, like people who are constantly in close proximity. Yeah, people end up sleeping with and dating the people in their professional field, Anna. That's generally what happens.
I mean, sure, but like we're not just talking about that. We're talking about like eyes wide shut type stuff.
That's beyond the pale.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.